Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be coming to you. I've started my 40 days juicing, and I just kind of wanted to show you what my arsenal looks like for these next 40 days. I'm using the Omega Juicer, an excellent masticating juicer. It's a juicer that chews. It has a chewing device. It is not a centrifugal juicer, a lot like your Jack LaLanne and things like that. They're centrifugal juicers, but it's a masticating juicer that like chews. Masticate means to chew. So it more chews the vegetable up, it gets more juice out. You use get more juice, use less vegetable. It was fairly expensive, but I found a good one. I found it on sale, and I was able to, make the purchase. I'm also using the NutriBullet for my smoothies in the morning, which I'll be doing fruit smoothies. That's an option that you don't have to do if you're just doing a straight detox and you want to do 40 days of detoxing. Juicing is the best way to do that. I said I would talk to you about the two different ways or the difference between these two. The greatest difference from my research, I'm no expert, but just from what I've researched and come to understand, is that with a juicer, it's all about cell life, the life of the cell, the enzymes and those things. So when they're not damaged or they're put in a position where they're heated up in any way, their life is a little bit better. So when you're doing a masticating juicer, it uses low RPMs, which means it's not going really quickly. The motor isn't making it move really fast, and it's chewing it up slowly and juicing it like you're wringing it out. It saves the life of the cell. So when you're juicing, you want to get the whole purpose for juicing and using it as a detox is because it's supposed to not just detox your body, but it's supposed to bring your cell life back. So one of the things I did was I showed some of the women that are going to be doing this journey with me. I showed them the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And I also just did some other research, and you do some research on juicing. drmercola.com is something I'm also posting on my board. Those are all places you can kind of go and look up information about juicing. But just the information that I've received, I'm going to use that. And I just think that juicing is a better way of getting the proper nutrient, live cells. You want to be able to feed your cells. And as a cancer survivor, that's really important to me because that's a great way to fight, way to be fighting against cancer. So the antioxidants and things like that, you want to be able to get them. Using something that's centrifugal or it uses a blade, because the blade spins, it creates heat, which breaks down cell walls and enzymes and doesn't completely destroy them, but they're not as viable. So that when you're doing this kind of process, it's a different process than juicing. So when you're talking about juicing versus creating smoothies and doing smoothies and things like that with the NutriBullet, it's a different process. And subsequently, the product that you get from it is different. And so juicing from raw organic fruits and vegetables provides a better cell life. You can look that up and research that for yourself. Like I said, I'm no expert, but just the research I've done indicates that. So we'll be using the Omega Juicer and the NutriBullet. And I have my own little juice recipe that I'm using. I started making juice yesterday, but I didn't have things to bulk it up. So that was a great example I wanted to show you guys really quickly. When you're juicing, oftentimes the major things that you're going to be juicing, your superfoods and things of that nature, I'm going to be using beets and kale are my base. Beets, kale, spinach. Those greens are my base. Your boosters, the things that you get the most water from that kind of give you bulk, because this is just the beets, kale, and a lemon and some carrots. But the things that boost and give you water and give body to that and to the juice are your celery, and which is here, it's in my water, and your cucumbers or bok choy or romaine lettuce. Those things are used because the majority of it is water. It's used to kind of bulk up your juice. So the great nutrient part of it all comes from your greens, your beets, your carrots. Those things provide the nutrients, and you want to bulk the juice up. You have to juice some weight and some volume by using celery or cucumbers or other types of fruit that are vegetables that are major water based. I'm not a fan of sweets. I'm not a big sweets buff, so I don't have to have carrots and I don't have to have apples in my juice. I may put one apple in. Lemon and lime kind of take away that really super greeny taste. The beets also add some sense of some source of sweetness to it as well. And I juice the whole beet and the greens. Swiss chard is really good. So you have to have other things, but my recipe really consists of kale, and I use the Lacenta kale, which is the flat kale leaves, not the curly kale leaves, because these tend to produce more juice than the curly kale leaves to me. So I use Lacenta kale, which is the flat kale, or I think if it's grown in like Pennsylvania, or shipped in from California, it's called something else. My sister told me from last year when she was doing organic farming. But the it's Lacenta kale. You can find that at Whole Foods. You can find that at uh, the farmers market sometimes. Here where I live, they have what's called a farmers garden fresh farmers or something like that. But wherever that store is, they are the only people that carry Lacenta kale, them and Whole Foods. You can't really find that in the regular grocery store, so you have to kind of go there to look for that. But my recipe consists of those things, those raw fruits, and I use a lemon and a lime to kind of take off the take some of the green taste out. Half a lemon, half a lime, not a whole one. And I usually just peel back the yellow and use the white. And I'm going to set up my juicer and come back to you in a minute, and then you can watch me in the process of juicing. I don't want this to be a really, really long video, but I want to show you bits and pieces that I continue to process through the juicing process. And everyone talks about how juicing itself is so hard on cleanup, yada, yada, yada. But it really isn't. It isn't any more cleanup than your NutriBullet. I mean, it's a few more pieces to my juicer. But as a whole, my juicer in and of itself is really quick cleanup. Just take it out immediately, and I just clean it right on up, and I don't have a problem. About 10 minutes, I wash it up and set it to dry, and I'm ready. I usually juice 32 ounces is what I juice, because what I'm going to try to do is drink 4 8-ounce glasses a day. So I have this glass. And I have a smaller one, and this one right here. This holds my daily 32 ounces right here. And then this is 64, I'm sorry. I juice for 3 days. So this is 32 ounces, what I drink in one day. So I'm drinking 4 8-ounce glasses of juice here. And then this is 64 ounces. So I'm going to try to fill this and this up with juice so that I have enough for 3 days. Juice only lasts for 3 days. After 3 days, you lose all the vital nutrient of the juice, and it really is just no good for you. So, I mean, there's nutritional value after the 3rd day. So I only juice for 3 days at a time. So I'll fill these 2 up, and then I have a 3rd one that I'll fill if I need to take it with me. Or I got this wonderful thing right here at the Target, which is really cool. It looks like a mason jar. No BPAs, BPA free, which is good. The plastic that doesn't bleed into your juices and things like that. So I can fill this for the course of just one day if I'm going out. Okay. So these are the things you kind of need to kind of be prepared for the juicing process. All right. So that's my arsenal. When I set up for the juicing, I'll chime you back in so you can see that. See you in a minute. Hi guys, I'm back with you. I've gotten one 32 ounces done, so I'm going to start drinking this today. It'll probably be done before the night. I started a little late today. Normally what I'll be doing is doing a smoothie in the daytime, morning, like early morning, like 8 o'clock. And then for the rest of the day, I'm just going to do juice. I feel the need to eat, and that's just it. A lot of times when we're juicing and you're doing it for a cleanse purposes, it takes some time for them chewing mechanisms. The desire to chew is habitual, and we get to thinking about food and stuff. So what I would suggest to you is, if you must, only eat raw. No condiments, as my son could say. No condiments, no extras. Just eat raw. So you go pick up some carrots, celery. You can cut it up into strips. Try to find it as organic as possible. And you do it, and you eat that raw. And you don't add a whole lot to it. You can make a salad. If you need to add something to the salad, get some EVO, extra virgin olive oil, EVOO, or some, and mix that maybe with some apple cider vinegar. And if you want to break up some, get some thyme and some fresh seasonings and put them in together, fresh seasonings. So don't use the ones in the can. You want to try to keep your body as pure and organic as possible. You can mix that with some extra virgin olive oil, some apple cider vinegar, and make you a little vinaigrette. That is not a bad thing to do. Apple cider vinegar is really good for the stomach, they say. I ain't quite sure how that works, but they say that. So it's juicing pretty quickly here. I'm up to my next 32 ounces almost. I'm not a frost foamy girl, so I usually take the foam off. But that has some pulp in it. And the exciting thing about this juicer is, I just kind of want to show you. I need to stop my juicer so I can show you something. I have juiced 64 ounces of juice at this point. Almost a gallon of juice. And this is all the pulp that I have. I want to show you up close and personal, no glare. That is it. That is all the pulp that I have. 64 ounces of juice I've juiced. And this is all the pulp I have. This is not even filled. If this was a different kind of juicer, this would be filled up and I would have dumped it. Because I've juiced with other juicers before. And I would have had to dump the container for pulp, dump it into something else already. But that's because so many times there's so much juice left in the vegetable as it's pulping, as it's going through, that you have a lot bulkier, lot more pulp than you do. But because this thing chews it all the way down to nothing, runs it through until it's chewed down to nothing. This is all the pulp I have. It's not even half a container filled. So like, see you in the off when it's not shaded. It's not even half a container. That is amazing to me. So this is why I really like this juicer, in opposed to others. You want to try to get a masticating juicer. They also make them. I have a really huge one underneath my sink by Champion. It's an older one. They have really excellent juicers that really get the best out of and the most out of the vegetable. So I wanted to show you that. So I'm keeping it moving. You know, sometimes I use my little plungy thing and sometimes I don't. So I'm just going to keep it moving and continue to juice all of this kale. I have a sink full of kale and cucumbers. I need another 32 ounces before I'm done for my 3 days worth of juicing. And I'll probably share some juice with my friend who, her name is Dallas, and she's juicing with me. So probably share some juice with her. But for the most part, I'll get the most that I need out of this 3 days. Now, the budget for this, I kind of wanted to discuss that really briefly. The Placenta kale is about $2.50. It runs between $2.50, $2.99 a bunch. Most times that I've purchased it. And it's usually from Whole Foods. So it runs about that, about $2.50 a bunch. 3 bunches if you're just going to do green, because this is my first time really adding beets to my juice. I usually only do a green juice. I'm not really a fan of the whole red color thing, but the beets actually give it a wonderful flavor. So because I'm incorporating beets, I had to kind of recalculate things and calibrate things, because beets create a lot of juice for one, and it's not. I just used to make a green juice, which was kale, spinach, Swiss chard, then the celery, cucumbers, lemon lime, and 1 apple. That used to be my my formula, my go-to formula. I've added beets because I know that I have other issues, so I've added it to my diet, to my juice recipe, because I like to. I don't know. I don't always count and regulate down to the second millisecond of what it is I'm adding. But I added beets, so it kind of takes some things. It changes my budget a little bit, because where it would take me 3 bunches of kale, it usually for 64 ounces for 3 days, I'm probably going to use 2 bunches of kale, 2 beets, because they yield about the same as maybe a bunch of kale. Probably more would have yielded. So we're talking about, for a 3-day juicing budget, the kale being $2.50 a bunch. The beets I bought were 3 beets, and I believe they were $2.99 for the 3 beets. And that was 1 bunch, using 2 beets for the entire juicing process for 3 days. So when the bulk stuff that I use, the celery is usually around $3.99 for a bag. Organic celery is a little bit more expensive, so it's about $3.99, $4 for a bag. The same thing about organic cucumbers. They cost a little bit more. They cost about $1.50, $2, sometimes $2.50 for organic cucumbers. $2 per cucumber, $1.50 per cucumber. It depends. Now, Costco's has them in bulk, organic, in the bag. So I'm going to go pick up some Costco ones later on this week. I'm not quite sure what the price is on that. So where we are for about a 3-day budget is about $25. I remember doing my 6-day budget before. It was about $50 for 6 days. So you figure, if you're going to separate your food out from your children or the rest of your family while you're doing this 40 days, you need to make sure that you budget $50 of your grocery money per week for juicing. It's about $50 a week. So it's about $200 a month, which is not bad if you're going to go on a juice fast. $200 is a big cut in my grocery bill in my house, and it's just me and one child. But yeah, so other than buying for him, which is about another $50 to that budget. So it's about normal grocery bill. It's not a big leap from outside of my normal grocery bill as long as I stay within the budget. So I just kind of wanted to share that part with you as well. Now, when you incorporate fruits, that's different for like your smoothies. It depends on how you go with the fruits. For me, I was doing fresh fruit, organic fruit, and then I throw them in my own Ziploc bag and I freeze them. Or you can buy frozen fruit. I believe that I have a brand in my refrigerator that is organic. And maybe I do. No, I have an all natural brand, but I don't have an organic brand. But there is an organic brand in your local grocery store. You can buy organic frozen fruit, and I know you can get that at Whole Foods, or you can buy organic regular fruit and put it in a Ziploc bag yourself and freeze it. That is what I do. So that's a different budget altogether. And I'll get that for you and make sure I post that on the page. Okay? So I'll see you back in a little bit to see my finished product and see how it tastes.